Welcome to Con Carne. Through the month of October, it is candy corn carne, nothing but Halloween-adjacent episodes. And before I get into tonight's episode, and before I announce who Con Carne is presented by, there's a reason for this, I'm introducing my guest. He is returning guest Patrick Brower. He is a co-owner of Challengers Comics and Conversation in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago, 1845 Northwestern. And the reason why I'm bringing you on before anything else, Patrick Brower, co-owner of Challengers Comics, is because Con Carne is presented by Alex Ross Art. For those who are watching, for those who are listening who are unfamiliar with Alex Ross, you own a comic book shop, you are part of the industry. Who is Alex Ross?
Alex Ross is probably the greatest living realist painter for comic books. He does portraits, but as comics. He's not just drawing superheroes. He's painting three-dimensional, full-life images of people that you probably recognize because they're that realistic. But they're comic books. But they're real.
They look like they walk the earth with us.
Absolutely. He goes out of his way to find a way to make the fantastic elements of their costumes or their outfits real and believable and three-dimensional.
Does Challengers Comics and Conversation have a YouTube page?
We do.
You know who else does?
Alex Ross.
Alex Ross.
Hi, this is Alex Ross. I appreciate you guys supporting our YouTube, and we create new content every week. I hope you will continue to support us, and please subscribe.
Now I'm going to do the theme song. Ready? And we could talk over the theme song.
It's Con Carne.
Or we could just wait.
Let's eat in the car. It's Con Carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Alstyne.
And Con Carne is also sponsored by In the Loop magazine. When you're in or around a world-class city like Chicago, there's a lot going on. There's a concert happening every night, probably multiple concerts happening every night. You can keep yourself busy, and you probably are keeping yourself busy going to all the shows and things happening in the city and around. You need a guide, too. There's so much going on that it can feel overwhelming at times, and that's where In the Loop magazine comes in. They do show recaps, tour previews, interviews, they have photo galleries, tons more. Consider them your guide through all this. BeInTheLoopChicago.com is their website. Be in the Loop Chicago for In the Loop magazine. So as mentioned, Patrick Brower is the co-owner of Challengers Comics and Conversation in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. The address again, 1845 Northwestern. Opened 15 years ago this year, celebrating their 15th anniversary. That's a big deal. We are together outside 13th floor haunted house, 5050 River Road in Schiller Park. They're open. This is their busy time. This is their Super Bowl season. October 24th through Halloween night at 13th Floor Haunted House. And then they're open again for one final round, November 3rd through the 5th. You can get your tickets at 13thfloorchicago.com. I want to thank Brian and Erica and everyone at 13th Floor for their hospitality tonight as we went through the haunt. Two different themed areas this year, the Deadlands and Depths of Darkness. Patrick Brower, co-owner of Challengers Comics and Conversation. Have you ever been to a haunted house?
I have not. The
Like
last
ever,
time,
not even as a kid.
Okay, as a child, I remember being at, I guess, a Disney park. I don't know which one. I can never remember Land versus World. I remember going into a haunted house, which probably Haunted Mansion, I guess, if it was Disney,
Yeah.
but it wasn't a ride. It was a mansion, and I was with my sister Susan, who is 3 years older than I am, and I was very, very young. And I started crying almost immediately, and she had to take me out of it.
See, I invited you, one, because you're a delight and a friend, but I invited you because I thought, well, he owns a comic book store. Surely horror is like part of his DNA, but it's not. Like this stuff is not part of your world.
Well, horror comics are. There's some really great horror comics being put out right now, but I'm not a huge horror movie person. I'm not a huge haunted house person, clearly, because I've never been to one. Can't say that anymore. I was at one right now.
So tell me your thoughts. We went through 13th floor, went through the different areas, lots of cool scenes and moments and scares. What stood out for you?
I like how there were so many different areas. Like you could say, okay, we're going to the vampire area now. Mm-hmm. Now we're going to the werewolf area. Now we're going to the nautical area, which I think is one of the big themes you talked about before.
Depths of darkness.
The depths of darkness might have been my favorite part of it.
Me too. Starting with the scary pirate at the bar.
Yeah, you know, that was... I like the human element of it. I like that there's actually, as far as people portraying ghouls and monsters and whatnot, there's actually people playing people who are in these scenarios trying to like save you or tell like go through the lab. It's the safest place. Like that kind of thing. Like they're all part of it. It's not just jump scares or costumes. And it's a good mix of animatronics and costumes, and the set design was great. The labyrinth, the maze that they built was so many different styles and crafts put into it that was really good attention to detail.
Well, I do love the set designs. There's that they've had this before, the casino area with all the old slot machines.
Yeah,
and they had the kind of zombie poker dealer.
That what it was. The humans were saying go through the casino. Yeah.
And so it looked like post-apocalyptic Vegas, basically.
It was very hard for me not to want to pull one of the levers.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
No touching.
Yeah, no touching the props.
I wanted to touch a lot of things.
No touching the props, no touching the actors. By the way, nice touch as we're waiting in line. Halakihiki, we're in Schiller Park, right down the road on River. Halakihiki, the venerable tiki bar, they've got their own like booth as you wait in line.
That's amazing. That's such a great synergistic connection between the area. So many comic creators know Halakihiki because it's I just butchered the name, but everybody, when they used to go to the Chicago Comic-Con, just over at the Rosemont Donald E. Stevens Convention Center, would all go to that tiki bar afterwards because it was close and a great hangout.
It's a great hangout, great drinks. 13th Floor Chicago is where we're at. 13thfloorchicago.com is where you can buy tickets. Again, October 24th through Halloween night. I bet that's the busy time. Like if it were me, if I were going back here to 13th Floor, I would go any night other than Halloween.
Yeah, I would also think that the weekend right by Halloween is going to be packed.
Like weeknights are probably the way to go. So one of the effects, we were talking about the depth of darkness. It's a classic effect at haunted houses, that illusion that you're walking through swamp water. And it's done through smoke or dry ice, lasers, cool lighting. It actually, you walk into the room, you're like, oh wait, it hurts your brain for a second. Like, am I walking into water?
And your body is cut off from like chest down. You can't see below your waist at all. And it makes you feel like you're trudging through. I wondered, like, I know that they can't touch you, but how freaked out would you have been if things brushed up against your feet as you're going? And they did effects of like people or creatures coming up out of the water and coming back down.
13th Floor Haunted House, awesomely fun time, 13thfloorchicago.com. It's Halloween season. It's so easy to get to, too. We're right off of I-90, or 190, really.
Yeah, we're just on River Road.
Yeah, it's River Road, right down from the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center. Again, thanks to those guys. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about Challengers Comics. Let's talk about Halloween at Challengers Comics.
Let's do it. We, in the past, have had Halloween parties sporadically, sometimes themed with a comic release, like the book Revival. That's a very Midwestern horror book. We did a whole Revival-themed party, and we were all... a lot of people came as Revival characters, and we had a lot of the creators for to this one. This year, we'd thought, it's been a while, let's do a Halloween party. And honestly, the desire to do a Halloween party comes from whether or not I have a costume or not. And on the years I don't, I'm like, I don't want to throw a party. I don't have any ideas. So I had said to Dal, like, hey, let's do a Halloween party this year. And we were going to do it on a Friday night, the Friday before Halloween. That way, if people have bigger or more prestigious parties to go to on that Saturday, they can do that. But then, comic creator Andrew McLean, who is on tour for his new kaiju book Snarlagon, had said, hey, I want to swing by Challengers when I'm in Chicago. Can we set something up? And the perfect day wound up being Saturday the 28th.
Perfect.
So we're like, Andrew, we're doing a Halloween party anyway. Let's make it for Andrew McLean. Andrew McLean from Headlopper, that great fantasy witch-oriented barbarian book, Apocalyptic Girl. And now he's got Snarlagon, which is his kaiju book, which is actually an all ages kaiju kind of comedy. To be fair, I haven't read it because it will be getting it next weekend. But they're bringing a whole Snarlagon cityscape and a big photo op.
Oh, it's
so
amazing.
You can have your photo with Snarlagon, and I think it'll be pretty fun having people in costumes doing that as well. So Andrew's going to be at the party from 7 until 8:30, but the party goes from like 7 to 11.
But what's your costume?
my costume, James, and one of the things that I always try to do is pick somebody that I think I can physically represent. And I am someone who is very good. Evil Uno from the Dark Order.
I don't even know who that is.
You know Evil Uno. You know the Dark Order from AEW?
No.
Oh, man.
Sorry.
The Dark Order. Join the Dark Order. Brody Lee was the Exalted One.
I find myself, as I'm getting older, Patrick, and we may part company on this, I'm more interested in the behind-the-scenes stuff that happens with wrestling than I am actually watching wrestling. Yeah. I've just petered out. I can't get interested.
There's a lot of wrestling right now, I understand.
I find myself, if I had the choice, I would rather watch Dark Side of the Ring, the Vice show, than I would an actual wrestling.
Are you excited for the Iron Claw? Have you seen the trailer for that?
I'm very excited for that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, growing up in the Midwest, we used to watch, championship wrestling with the Von Erichs and the Freebirds and Jimmy Garvin and Iceman King Parsons.
This could dub as the Iron Claw move as well.
For sure. Or just the Claw if you're talking about Baron Von Raschke, the AWA great.
Yep.
That is all the people need to know. All right, so that's happening on the 28th, right?
Yes. Saturday the 28th, 7 p.m.
That's fun.
Yeah.
I know that you're really smart and particular about the way you do events. Coming from 15 years of trial and error.
Yeah, meaning that we don't do them as much anymore. Yeah. Because I'm old and tired. That's so amazing. Tired I couldn't get the word tired out in one breath. I needed to stop and take another one to say tired again.
I don't want to take things negative, but I'm going to take things negative. We're on River Road.
Yeah.
Not far, as mentioned, from the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center. Mm-hmm. I went to the Fan Expo this year. What has happened to comic conventions?
Well, the word comic doesn't belong.
It doesn't.
They're just fan conventions.
Comic books don't belong anymore.
No, they don't. And unfortunately, that's the case wherever you go. C2E2, the Chicago Comic and Entertainment Expo, for its full name, has at least a little bit more comic representation. But while the entire... I say that there's no such thing as pop culture anymore. It's just culture.
Fair.
Because it's permeated so much of everyday life, it's not a niche anymore. It's just everything.
Yeah, when Moon Knight's on TV, it's culture.
It's culture, exactly. So the number of people that watch Moon Knight on Disney Plus, a tiny fraction of a percent of those people actually want to go read comic books about Moon Knight. But
they would enjoy them more than the TV show.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But they would love to go meet Moon Knight in person, the people that watch the show. They definitely want to go and have the experience of a 5 to 7 second exchange where you can't talk to the actor, but they smile and take a photo with you.
For $75 to $100.
Yeah. On the low end, yeah.
On the low end, exactly. Like Susan Sarandon was there.
Susan Sarandon was there, yes.
You know, you never know what drives someone to make business decisions that they make. But you would think of all the people at that Fan Expo, the one least needy of autograph money at a convention is Oscar award-winning actress Susan Sarandon. She was the only one, as far as I could tell, who had her area completely draped off so no one could see her from the floor.
I think you wouldn't even allowed to look at her, look down at the floor. You have a blindfold on. When it's time to take the picture, that someone behind you pulls it off real quick. And then
I know there are people who are hardcore autograph collectors. They love getting selfies. There's something that's still, this is the Gen X in me, and I'm sure you can relate, something that feels really icky about paying someone for an autograph.
You know, the number of comic creators that are now charging, because there's so many companies that organize it, and that they now, there's different groups that have an artist collective. They pick talent that they want to represent, and so when you're on the show floor of these conventions, if you're an artist alley, a whole row is sponsored by one specific talent management firm, and they handle all of the money. And believe you me, creators deserve to get paid.
100%.
Nobody in this industry is making any money. There's I'm not going to name names, but there are creators whom I adore and promote their work so heavily, books that sell really well for us, to one writer specifically who had 2 big hits for challengers this year, 2 independent books that neither of the books sold well enough globally to fund a second arc of the books. And they're books that had to go back to press, had to be reprinted, and they're going ahead and doing second arcs for both those books anyway because they want to see it done, but then they're taking the hit, and if it doesn't pay off, it's their money they're losing and not a publisher's.
Right.
And that, unfortunately, sums up the entire comics industry right now.
So, and that leads people to charge...
For signatures, yes, exactly. That's the point I was trying to make. I just got to the end and stopped. But yeah, and I get it. Like, I understand, and I want my friends to make money. I want creators to make money. But every time people go to a comic convention and spend... I know people that just go to pay for the autograph packages, and we'll see 5, 6, 7 celebrities. That's almost $1,000.
Oh, yeah, you throw in the ticket price, the parking,
Yeah.
every ancillary cost. That is absolutely $1,000.
Think how much actual entertainment you could purchase. It doesn't have to be comics, but it could be other things. But you get those total of 24 seconds of engagement with people. And look, full disclosure, I once paid for a photo with David Tennant. And I brought my brother and my nephew along with. So basically all three of us got one. And I always, if I'm ever taking a photo with somebody, I'll stand on the other side so we could crop my brother and Parker out. So they can have their photo and I can have mine.
Brilliant.
But I did that because I'm such a lifelong Doctor Who fan. And just the idea of having, he was wearing a Marvel shirt and he was so good in Jessica Jones. But by no means do I equate that as any type of connection that I have with David
Right.
Tennant. And I didn't even meet him. It's not like I said, "Hello, David, I'm Patrick, I own Challengers." No, it's an assembly line.
Yes.
He said, "Nicely done," as the photo was taken. We moved out. 5 seconds.
Right. The idea, thinking about those people who spend $1,000, and again, I'm not knocking anyone's hobbies. We all have our hobbies. That's
Sure.
why we're here together. That's why
Some
we
of
came
us
to
go
know
to haunted houses.
Right. Some of us go to haunted houses. Some of us buy records at any given moment, even if they're at Target.
Did you see the Liz Fair? Was it 30th anniversary for Guyville?
Yeah.
Can you believe it's been 30 years?
That's another topic. But my point is, as you're spending $1,000, and if all you have to show for it is a cell phone photo of the guy who played Ramon on the Flash TV series, and like I don't know if that's
Such a good reference.
but he was there. I mean, like
Yeah, sure.
Danielle Pennebaker
Yes,
who played
yeah,
Killer Frost.
Yeah.
Cool, I guess.
Yeah.
But again, these aren't professionally shot pictures. You're taking your cell phone, and
Yeah.
it's just you'd have better luck staying at O'Hare, like camping out at O'Hare the morning after the cons.
Don't give people ideas.
Sorry, but you'd have a better chance
Sure.
of better selfies and more connection finding them as they're boarding their planes back to Hollywood. I digress. I
don't-
realize that life has changed and things have moved on without consulting me. It's weird to go to what was once a Comic-Con. This was once Wizard World. And comics are just a footnote. Like Chris Claremont, for those who don't know, legendary comics creator, he helped transform the X-Men into what they are today, which is an unreadable, complicated mess of stories. But I mean, back in the day, his X-Men was a big deal, and he helped steer
Yeah,
that. He was in the farthest corner of this fan expo from the entrance. Like literally the opposite side of all these halls, there was Chris Claremont literally in the corner. I thought, things are upside down.
Yeah, he should be a focal point. He should be a centerpiece.
And like, Frank Miller had a table like 2 tables down from him.
A fellow retailer shared a photo on their socials this week, and the caption was, "This is what we're fighting against." And it was a very little kid sitting on the floor of his store, of this retailer store, playing on their phone.
Yeah.
You're in this wonderland of stimulus, and it's just the phone is what they want. Like, there's so many properties and comics that would appeal to that kid. Mm-hmm. Didn't care, want to be on their phone.
Well, I mean, how many industries are having that same exact conversation?
Yeah,
We
I
had
know.
the same exact chat when I was in radio.
Yeah.
The same issue, and it wasn't just kids; it was adults. I mean, that's what you're competing against.
I still listen to radio every day, though.
No, you don't. Do you really?
Why?
Why?
Because I'm still
Why?
a big fan of pop music, and I listen to British radio. I listen to BBC Radio 1 because there's no commercials. It's a licensing fee, which I don't pay in this country, and I get that's how I find out about new music. I've been a pop music fan my whole life, and violently dislike half of it that's out today, but the other half, it's good stuff.
You're a fascinating person
I
because you're
just
also a
saw Ken
metalhead.
Petras.
I know.
I saw Ashniko the month before.
I don't even know who that is. Who's Ashniko?
She's a current pop star of today.
I know Ash. I know Nico. I don't know Ashniko.
Both of those shows were at the Aragon, if that means anything.
Sure.
Yeah.
It means parking was a pain in the
Yeah,
ass.
it definitely was.
Yeah. All right. So again, Challengers Comics and Conversation, 15 years in Bucktown. You are a presence. You are the go-to here in Chicago. Related to comic books, I thought about this earlier today because I was scrolling through social media. I'm getting all these notifications about Mego characters, Mego, which I'm pretty sure you grew up
Yep.
with Mego characters.
Yep.
I did. The company and brand is back, and it
Yeah.
looks like they're doing really cool shit.
So it seems that either the son of the original Mego creator is now in charge, and they're licensing everything they can, and there are Migos for television shows, like Golden Girls Migos, like I Dream of Jeannie Migos.
Yeah, so
like,
Cheers and
yeah,
Bewitched.
Yeah. Chicago creator Art Balthazar is a huge Mego collector, and he makes customs. He made me a Grimjack Mego years ago. That's a deep
That's
dive.
a deep pull, yeah.
But yeah, they're doing a lot of DC Migos and like Superman Red Sun. More
No Marvel, though.
no, not so much. Yeah, no Marvel. But I mean, Marvel's very specific with their licensing. You would
So these
think
characters,
that, but yeah.
these action figures, for those who've never seen a Mego character, they're 12 inches or 10
They're
inches?
like 10 to 11 inches.
And they're articulated. You can move the arms and legs.
Fully
And they-
cloth costumes.
That's it, the cloth costumes. I mean, I remember them so vividly from my childhood. They were the greatest. And I just, what sparked this with me earlier is I saw they're doing a Dr. Fate Mego character. I thought, I'm a grown-ass man in my 50s, and I kind of want to buy the Dr. Fate action figure.
Sure. Mm-hmm. James, they're creating a new character right now who's part of the Titans Beast War crossover, Beast World, named Dr. Hate.
Oh, boy.
He's the evil version of Dr. Fate.
Do we need that? Don't we have enough of supervillains who are the opposite of the heroes? Like, that's been the whole Superman thing for...
Sure, but I mean, you can't go... you can't get any better than Reverse Flash. Because he's a Flash, but reverse. He just doesn't run backwards, that's all.
Which I've always thought was a sticking point.
Yeah.
Like, you can't
Yeah.
call him that. He's a forward Flash. Maybe reverse colors Flash.
He is reverse colors. The colors are a little reverse of the Flash, yes.
But if you want to talk about running, he's a forward Flash.
That's right.
He's not a reverse Flash. These are the problems I have. All right, so thinking about comics, I mentioned that the X-Men is kind of eluded. Like, I can't touch the X-Men.
Well, good news for you, James. They are doing the biggest X-Men change that they've done in the last couple of decades. They are taking Tom Brevoort, who was the Avengers editor for the last 25 years. They've just given him the X-Men, and he is reimagining the X universe from the ground up. So he's starting not like starting over, but he's, for the first time, like anytime somebody comes in, a new writer or a new creative team, they're still playing in the same sandbox.
Sure.
But now he's the one saying, this is what the sandbox is. He's deciding who's on what teams, and it is the biggest change that they've done since...
What does that
House
mean
X.
to someone like me, the disenfranchised reader who wants an excuse to get back in?
That's exactly the point you start.
Okay.
It won't be until spring.
That's
Like,
good.
it's just
I
happening
want to
now.
like X-Men. Every time I've tried over the past few years, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. This is too much.
One of the problems in publishing today, and this is a rant and a thing I talk about way too much on my own podcast, Contest of Challengers, there's no such thing as an ongoing series anymore. Everything is miniseries or
Sure.
restarts. And when we were kids and reading comics, if a new creative team was coming on and, let's say, Roger Stern and John Romita Jr. leave Amazing Spider-Man at issue 372, 373 has the new team.
Right.
Now they end it to start with the new number one, because sales are always on a downward angle, and when you get a number one, they jump up, and then they go back down, and then they jump up. So they'll have legacy numbering that'll in a box. It'll say this is actually Spider-Man number 935, but it's really number 16 of this run, and that is their philosophy moving forward. And you have
I hate that.
Action Comics, which
hate
is still
that.
going. It's on like 1060, and you have Detective Comics, which is also in the thousands. That's it. The other longest running DC comic is Looney Tunes at like 270 issues. But everything else, like Superman is on number 7. Batman is a little closer. He's in the hundreds. But everybody starts over and over and over and over.
It makes it harder to be a collector, like as far as back issues goes.
It really does, and it makes it hard to organize your boxes.
Yes.
What's even more is they don't put numbers on the spines of trades anymore. DC doesn't, because they're afraid no one's going to want to read Batman 2012 volume 5, so it's just Batman and a subtitle. And when somebody comes in and is like, hey, do you have Deadpool volume 1? There's 9 different volumes. Do you know which volume you were looking for?
Oh, God.
There's what I mean is there's 9 number 1s.
Right. That is antithetical to the joys of collecting.
It
Collecting
kind of
is filling in those blanks and like finding, going to the comic book convention with your list. Like, I need number 135, 250, and 375.
Yep.
Not volume 8, number 6, volume 7. That I find
and
that
it's getting harder for me to keep it straight. Like, at least when DC would redo it, it was like the New 52. Okay, New 52 volumes 1 through 12.
Yeah.
And then Rebirth volumes 1 through whatever. But Marvel just does it so often, and they'll change the trade dress. So the trade dress, the spines, the way you look at it on a shelf is consistent. But then sometimes in the middle of a run, they flip it so it's the colors are opposite. Like, why are you doing that?
So, speaking of trades, are trades really where the business comes from for you?
Well, yes and no. No superhero book sells in trades. People don't care about collecting the superhero volumes in trades. But everything else is also short run. Here's a quick other Marvel sidebar. They used to do miniseries all the time of like, it's like of a 6-issue series. Now they will only do, if it's a guaranteed miniseries, it's only 4 issues because they can't sell 5s and 6s. So 4. You got a tight 4 issues to tell your story and get out. But
That's wild.
The graphic novel or the trade paperbacks, whatever you want to call it, the collected volumes are what is the majority of the market now. And even when there's a series that hits real big in single issues, we know, because we only have 6 days to sell a comic, because it's new for a week. We pull it on the 6th day to get ready for the 7th day of new shelves, and then you rack it with everything else, and then it's invisible. No one will ever find it. So
Because there are just so many books.
There's so many books, and
Yeah.
because they're all short runs now, you don't have the shelf space for hundreds of new titles every month.
I find this so interesting.
Yeah, it's a disaster from a sales standpoint, because a book, once it's on the general wall, it becomes invisible because everything looks the same. And then once the collected volume is out, and you still have, let's say you have issues 1, 4, and 7 of an 8-issue series, that would be an independent series, of course, because Marvel wouldn't do an 8-issue series. That once the collected book is out, those books are worthless. You're never going to sell those individual comics. So we mark them down to $1.99, throw them in the back issues, and pray that somebody buys them, because otherwise we need that shelf space. We need that shelf space for all the new titles every week. But for all of that negativity, some of the best comics being published right now. There's so many that I love this point in time, and I brought you one, but it's in my car. I don't have it here, but I'm going to describe it anyway. It's called Where Monsters Lie, and it is a 4-issue horror miniseries, but it's also very, very funny. It's written by Kyle Starks. It's drawn by Peter Kowalski, and the premise is, where do horror slashers go in between their rampages? They live in a gated community that's hidden in the middle of the woods, where they wait, they plan their next rampage, they wait till the desire to kill again hits, but they also talk over their scenarios and their ideas. Like, hey, what if I start using a flamethrower? No, a flamethrower is not your aesthetic. Maybe you shouldn't do that.
You got to workshop that stuff.
They do their workshop with the other people there. But what happens when a survivor of a serial killer rampage finds that community? Somebody who's waiting their whole life for their chance to strike back. And the whole thing takes place in a day. It's maybe my favorite book of the year.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought it.
So good. It's so good.
So, knowing everything you said about the state of new comics and where things are at with the trades, has the back issue, I know back issues aren't Challenger's thing, but you know these things. Has the back issue market and have values bottomed out?
Well, the pandemic caused the back issue speculation to skyrocket when you had all these people stuck at home. not spending money on
Yeah, like what am I
entertainment.
sitting on here? Yeah.
So comics, and specifically back issues and original comic art, all became a huge investment for people getting into it the first time for the high-end collector books. And that lasted for a couple of years, but now it's stopped. And the back issue market does exist, but it's only for the rarest and the most desirable books. Nobody is digging through back issue boxes looking to get those 4 issues of ROM. I shouldn't say ROM, though, because Marvel just got the rights back, and they're doing $150 omnibuses of all of ROM stuff.
Which are unreadable. I don't know why they publish those. They're
so
coffee
heavy.
table books that you can't actually enjoy. Anyway.
But, I mean, there's like, think of there's, God, I can't even... Superman, Batman from the early 2000s. No one's digging for those back issues.
It would have to be Bronze Age and earlier, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So, like, probably 1979 and before.
Somebody came in who on Saturday and said, "Hey, I'm looking. How would I get rid of? I've got a couple hundred comics. How do I know what to keep and what not to keep?" I'm like, well, you read them, and what you love, you keep, and what you don't love,
that's it.
You get rid of. And they're like, I'm not even caring about volume, but value. Excuse me, volume. How much? Let me put this in a giant tub full of water and see how much the water raises. Is it newspaper? Will it absorb it like a sponge? So they're like, but how do I know? I'm like, well, if you want to go insane, you can go to eBay and plug in each issue number of what you have and see what people are asking for it, not what they're getting for it, but what they're asking for it. They're like, no, I don't want to do that. So is a good rule of thumb, like anything that's 12 cents and below, I'm like, if you have comics that are priced at 12 cents, you keep them.
Yes. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Fair.
But there's no set rule of thumb. So, I mean, yeah, there's and the joy of hunting, like, I'm not, there's still books that I'm finding out that existed that I didn't know about. And as soon as I said that, the one I was thinking of just shot from my head. But books I'll never be able to track down. I'm not that person who wants to be on their hands and knees digging through long boxes on a show floor anymore. I'm too old for that. But there's still the desire of the things that I was reading and saving from when I was a kid. Those are the things that still matter to me the most. And I think that kind of nostalgia is what drives some people.
Sure.
But a lot of people got into it just for the monetary value, which it's less and less all the time. However, the number of those books that are still available, like the reason Action Comics #1, the first appearance of Superman, is so valuable is because there's 5.
Yeah, scarcity.
There's 5 that they know of in the world in that kind of a value.
Yeah, exactly right. If you're talking about something from the 1990s, that was the last big speculator boom in the 1990s, all those polybag comics, the Superman 75. Everyone thought, well, this is the death of Superman. It's got to be worth something. Not when they're printing up millions of copies. If everyone has a copy, there's no value there.
James, it's funny you bring up the death of Superman because it's the 30th anniversary of both the death and now the return of Superman. So DC is capitalizing on that by putting out these anthology books of all new stories by those creators. There was the Death of Superman 1. There was a new character. Remember Doomsday who killed Superman?
Sure.
This was a Doomsday, but he had 4 arms. And these books...
And Doomsday was meant to be kind of a parody, not a parody character, but like a caricature of what the industry had become at the time.
Yeah.
And now he's taken seriously, I suppose, but he was always meant to be a ludicrous, over-the-top creation.
You're going to hate me saying this out loud, but Doomsday is currently the ruler of hell in the DC universe. And... the way DC celebrates.
Do you understand
these
why
things,
I'm a lapsed comic book reader? Do you understand? I want reasons to come back in, but then I hear shit like that. I'm like, I can't.
Yeah, but when you come in, I'm not going to have you read Superman.
Fair.
I mean, Superman right now is actually very good. What they're doing with Superman is very fun. But that Doomsday thing is an action, and those are 2 different parallel storylines. And I'll be like, okay, you read Superman. Don't read action. But I would not point you to action. I'd point you to Where Monsters Lie, or Ribbon Queen, or Rumpus Room. God, Rumpus Room is so good. There's a new book that came out just this week called Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, and it's like Richard Scarry's style art of really cutesy, fuzzy animals that live in this small town. And one of them has a dark secret where every month or once a year they go into the big city and murder a stranger and bury them there.
That's amazing.
And then they come back to their small town until they get the urge to go kill again. But then somebody murders somebody in a horrible manner in that small town, and Brown Bear Samantha is like, no, you do not kill the locals. So it's her trying to find out who's killing people before anyone finds out that she's killing people.
And what you're saying, I think, is important. We've talked before about the value of curation. If someone were to walk in off the streets, if it's someone like me, a lapsed comic book reader who may not be as plugged into what's going on, they could walk in and say, here's the kind of stuff I like. I don't even know where to begin. You've got so much stuff on the wall. You actually delight. Like, you take it as a personal mission to, like, connect someone with that comic.
And I do it because I love that book, and I bet you would love it too. And that's why, like, when I read Where Monsters Lie, I'm like, that's for James.
Yeah, I mean, you get it. And I think that's so important. I mean, and someone could walk in and have that nostalgia feeling like, oh my God, I grew up reading Daredevil comic books before Frank Miller. I just like the goofy villains and all that. I'm sure you could probably identify a book.
Absolutely. And that's one of the best things about what we do. And that's some of those books I was just mentioning before, we're ordering up on the first issues. What helps me greatly in my job is when publishers or creators reach out and say, hey, here's the first 3 issues of our series, so I get to read it before I order it, so I know, like, oh, I'm going to hand sell the crap out of this book.
Yeah.
I just read, there's a book coming out called Crave. It's a 6-issue miniseries from Image. Maria Lovett writes and draws, and I got to read all 6 issues up front. I'm like, oh, I know who this is for. I know what I can do with this. I'm going to have a good time with it.
Yeah, because ordering blind,
which is what the majority of the industry is.
Does no one any favors.
But it's when they give us the opportunity to sample the merchandise ahead of time, so I can connect in my head who I think it's for, and that's what I think we do best, is finding a book for you. Whoever, if you're listening to this and you don't read comics, I can find you a comic you'll like. It may not turn you into a lifelong comic book reader, but I can find you a book that you would enjoy.
I love it. Okay, Challengers Comics and Conversation is located in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago at 1845 Northwestern, celebrating its 15th year in operation, in business. The Halloween party is happening on the 28th, as previously mentioned at the beginning of the show. You're one of my favorite people, one of my favorite guests, and I love the fact that I could be your gateway to the world of haunted houses.
James, I love being part of the things that you do, and I'm very excited to have this be my very first appearance on Candy Corn Carne.
Candy Corn Carne. For a limited time only, I go back to regular Corn Carne, which, by the way, no one ever makes it to the end of the episodes. I don't know if you've experienced that with Contest of Challengers, your podcast. No one ever makes it to the end.
No one makes it to the start of our episodes.
So I'm just going to mention it at the end of this episode. I've got a big Thanksgiving episode planned.
Ooh.
Yep, I'm sticking with the holiday theme.
Nice.
Next month, the Thanksgiving episode recorded at Epic Deli will be recorded at Epic Deli in McHenry, and it's me and a handful of people who all have sandwiches named after each other.
Whoa.
And we're going to have a Thanksgiving feast of each other's sandwiches. My guests for that episode, Tom Higginson of Plain White Tees, Deanna from Sincere Engineer, Daryl Wilson of the Boll Weevils, and Josh Caterer of Smoking Popes, also better known for doing the theme song to this podcast. So that's the Thanksgiving episode coming soon to Con Carne.
Don't you think it'd be cool if the 13th floor did a Christmas?
They do.
Well?
I don't know if they're going to do it this year. They've done a Krampus in the past.
Ooh.
I'm all for a year-round haunted house, different themes.
Yeah.
You could do like a scary leprechaun one.
I love the Krampus. I love the Krampus knocked videos you find of the small German towns where they just go all out and have this big Krampus parade. I would love to go to one of those one of these days.
Every year you could do the Krampus one. Really, the second Halloween's over. Do Krampus through December. January, you could do some kind of, I don't know, Jack Frost thing. I don't know. February, you could do the
Valentine's Day.
Yeah, some kind of Cupid-y
Cupid
thing.
rampage.
You got the
right into St. Patrick's Day with leprechauns.
Right.
Then into Easter.
Or taxes in April.
That's too scary.
Yeah, it's way too scary. All right, Patrick Rauer, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.